So this is another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast. I'm Jarad.
I'm Brandon.
And it's Double or Nothing weekend. We're going to talk AEW Double or Nothing and the Usos. They are the Unified Tag Team Champions. That and so much more on this week's edition of the Heel to the Face podcast.
Fans celebrate with me from Rome to Rochester.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
So this is another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Heel to the Face. That is where we are most socially active. And if you are listening or watching us, thank you again as well. You don't need to know where to go because you're listening or watching us right now. So make sure you just stay subscribed. And you can also like our videos. That also helps getting it out there more. Like I said, subscribing helps. Just whatever you can. Just keep paying attention to the Heel to the Face podcast as we're on the air for another week. It is Double or Nothing weekend. These weekends in AEW, it's crazy when they finally arrive because there's so many different breaks between pay-per-views. It's not like WWE where there's a lot more pay-per-views in a shorter span of time. It's like, can you believe we're already here? Another pay-per-view this past week. They were already in Las Vegas for Dynamite and Rampage this Friday night. And Double or Nothing, that's where it all started. We're talking, 4 years ago now? This is the fourth. Or what, was it 2018 or 2019?
2019, so
1920. So it is the fourth Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Fourth, 3 years, however else you do that, math. But it is the fourth Double or Nothing, the third anniversary of Double or Nothing.
There you go.
I say that because WWE, they did that stupid thing that still irks me to this day, and a bunch of other wrestling fans, where WrestleMania 25 was labeled as the 25th anniversary edition when it would be the 24th anniversary edition.
So technical.
So it would have been better if it was WrestleMania 25, but they put WrestleMania the 25th anniversary, which it wasn't. I think what would have been really confusing is if they made it WrestleMania 25 and then the following year made it WrestleMania the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, it would make sense.
But
it'd be just confusing.
Yeah, it wouldn't. Don't do it.
Because WrestleMania 26 was really the WrestleMania 25th anniversary. So
I don't mind. I'm not as picky about it. I was okay with WrestleMania 25 being the 25th. Technically speaking, yeah, sure. But you can't.
What if your wife told you? So you got married, and then 1 year later she says, "Happy second anniversary." You'd be like, "It's our first anniversary," and you're like, "No, last year and this year."
I mean, me and my sarcastic tone, I would be like, "Man, that flew fast."
Yeah. So it is the fourth edition. Or sorry, the 1920. Yeah, fourth edition, third anniversary.
Math is not a strong suit on the Heel to the Face podcast.
Yes. But it is Double or Nothing. You know, Double or Nothing, before we get to the card, I think we'll make that the main story this week. But before we get to that, Double or Nothing, you could say, the Usos could be saying, and Roman Reigns as well now can say, Double or Nothing, meaning that's what they did this past week on Friday Night SmackDown. They went for the Unified Tag Team titles. Someone was going to leave there with double belts. Someone was going to leave there with nothing. Originally, our ideas were that both were going to leave there with their belts, and there was going to be some sort of melee that delayed this match until Hell in a Cell.
And we were actually correct up until Friday, but Friday afternoon they made the last-minute call to make the change. So we were on top of it.
You did read that was going to be the case.
Yeah, they were.
I did not.
Yeah, there was a situation where it was going to be like a DQ or some sort of cop-out finish that WWE's known for. Mm-hmm. But last minute on Friday, they made the change.
We were right. I mean, overall, let's be real. Regardless, Roman Reigns was getting involved. Roman Reigns did get involved.
Yeah, I think
so. There was no clean finish. The storyline, I guess, it continues on.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's building up because right now Randy's out. He's out of the picture right now. So how I'm looking at it, and I don't have the calendar in front of me, of course. I think I have the next three opponents for Roman Reigns. I think Riddle's going to be number one.
Yeah, that's what. So what I've been reading is
Randy Orton.
Is Riddle, then Randy Orton, and then Drew.
Yep.
But I guess the big issue I have with that,
unless what did you hear about? It might not be Drew if a certain boxer wants to show up at the show.
Talking about Tyson Fury.
If Tyson Fury.
Obviously, when you just said that, because I obviously know about the locale. So, yeah.
Tyson Fury would sell some tickets for sure.
Especially in the UK.
Yes.
But I guess my issue with knowing ahead of time the Roman Reigns opponents is the fact that if you know the opponents ahead of time, then you know the results ahead of time. And I obviously know that we're well aware that we think Roman Reigns is going to win and he's going to prevail. But I do like the options, at least for one or two of the opponents, to kind of set it up to be, well, I don't know. Meaning, like, if we knew it was Randy Orton at Money in the Bank and we didn't know who it was at SummerSlam, then the idea that he could maybe lose to Randy Orton and then they have a rematch at SummerSlam, or, a three-way matches, or like, it just changes things up. But the fact that it's been put out there that he's going to face Riddle, then he's not going to face Riddle again. He's going to face Randy. He's not going to face Randy again. He's going to face Drew. Just means that, like, okay, though, so no titles are changing hands. There won't even be like the Roman loses it for the night and gets it back the next night kind of thing. So it kind of ruins both Money in the Bank and SummerSlam because we don't know his opponent for Crown Jewel. So again, that leads at least at Clash of the Castle. Maybe it's up in the air of who's going to leave there with the belt, at least for the night. Whether Roman Reigns fights The Rock next year or not, like, there still is some intrigue about, is he going to go as champion? But again, like I said, at least for the next two pay-per-views post Hell in a Cell, it seems like, well, we already know who he's facing, and then once he wins, you know what I mean? It's like when they...
It's predictable. It's just, it's already, the storyline's already done, really.
Yeah, it's annoying when WWE does it sometimes where, like, it's similar to, like, when they announce a match. Let's say at WrestleMania, it's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the championship. But 2 weeks earlier on SmackDown, Roman Reigns is like, well, I'm defending the belt against such and such. And you're like, well, we've already heard that you're in the championship match at WrestleMania. So it's like, obviously WWE hasn't put these out. This is just fans and those in the rumor mills have put this out. But if this does hold true, and I've heard from many cases that this is supposed to be the plan, then yeah, it makes me watch Money in the Bank be like, well, Riddle's not winning this, obviously, because it's already kind of been announced that it's him versus Randy. And then when I watch SummerSlam, it'll be like, well, Randy's not winning this because it's already been announced that it's him and Drew.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think Roman loses it until WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that anyways, but I do like the open-endedness of, because I mean, like, let's be real. I mean, we just had the match in which we didn't know the result at WrestleMania Backlash. I thought maybe the Bloodline would lose. They won. So swerved us a little bit. It was interesting.
Yeah, because we were both on.
And then again on SmackDown, I mean, we didn't know the result. I mean, I figured if someone was going to win it all, I figured it would be the Usos. But again, I only figured. I didn't know for sure. And I had different ideas and different theories about what could happen. But, it would be like as if the Usos were already advertised the following week as champions at a house show. And you're like, okay, well, you kind of ruined it for me.
I'm not
in
gonna
that
lie.
sense that I know for sure the result.
I'm going to tell you this, just not to go too far into it, but my early prediction is The Rock shows up at Royal Rumble.
That's far. That's still far away.
I know.
You don't think he's going to show up anytime sooner?
No.
Okay. Well, let's focus on the Usos.
We'll get to that down the line.
The Usos are the tag team champion, the unified tag team champions right now. The Bloodline's got all the belts. So are you happy with the result on SmackDown? Are you happy? I love the end where they were showing the people in the crowd. I mean, where they were doing the attack afterwards. I thought, man, this is
people getting all teared up.
This is good stuff. This is good TV right here.
I enjoyed it. I did not. I was okay with the way it finished, the way it played out. Because here's the thing, I kind of had a feeling if anything was going to happen, like where the titles were actually going to go on one side or the other, it wasn't going to RK Bro. It was either going to be DQ, nobody wins, or it's going to the Bloodline. So for me, having the Bloodline getting all the titles right now on a SmackDown, it gives SmackDown a little more salt too, because you're not having to put it on a pay-per-view. You can actually do it on a regular televised show.
Yeah.
So
it was a big time SmackDown.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
a good
it felt big. I mean, I was at the SmackDown the week earlier. God, I wish I was at the Grand Rapids one because it felt big time.
It was a hell of a show.
With the main event being a pay-per-view because essentially that match was originally advertised for WrestleMania Backlash, and if it was at WrestleMania Backlash, that would have been the main event.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'll just put a little capper on it. I could see that match. I mean, obviously it played out on SmackDown. That could have been a Big Four pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
That's how big and how invested the fans are, whether you're a fan of the Bloodline or you're a fan of RK Bro. People are heavily invested in this storyline. So it's going to be fun. I like what Riddle did this week, and it was cool to see him cut a promo right there and just kind of giving some love to Randy. Randy will be back soon. We're not worried about that.
So I don't think that obviously we're going to get a rematch at Hell in a Cell. I think the Hell in a Cell main event is going to be Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes again inside Hell in a Cell. I think that's your main event for Hell in a Cell. But do you see maybe the Usos versus Riddle in a handicap match at Hell in a Cell or something like that?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, what I think would happen is I think they're gonna build up to Usos versus Street Profits. I think that's what's gonna happen here.
Do you think that's going to happen in Hell in a Cell? Do you think they're putting their tag belt on the line already? Because, I mean, Hell in a Cell is next weekend.
I mean, why not? I mean, Street Profits were in this six-person tag just this past week for a reason. Obviously, there's something going on there with the Street Profits. I know, obviously, there was the issues with RK Bro and Street Profits.
I just figured out because of that championship match, having so much steam and feeling so hot that it just after it happened, because I originally thought, okay, it's not going to have a lot of steam. We're going to wait till the pay-per-view. But because that match on SmackDown 1 week ago had so much steam and so much behind it, I now feel like, okay, I don't think they're going to be putting the titles on the line in like a week, because it was just such a big build. You know, again, it's like a WrestleMania match. It has such a big build that you then don't see, like, after somebody wins, like them getting a match a week or two, like a rematch.
Well, here's the thing.
Like Roman Reigns, exactly. He won that big WrestleMania match. He hasn't defended the championship on television since then, because you got to let it breathe.
Personally, I wouldn't, but WWE has done things like this in the past. So it wouldn't, that's why it doesn't surprise me. That's why I'm saying it that way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it because it's how I would book it.
Because after that, I feel like WWE needs to let those titles breathe for a minute. And like put the Usos at Hell in a Cell, but put them in like a, similar to what we just saw at WrestleMania Backlash, like a match that lets those titles breathe, honestly, gives it at least more of a story heading into Money in the Bank.
Honestly, I like your idea of a handicap match.
Yeah.
With Riddle and the Usos. I think that would be good. I think that'd be a quality, especially at this point, because of how Riddle is like, even in that 6-man tag he did this past week on Raw, he didn't even care about Sami Zayn. He was like a bull in a china shop going after the Usos any chance he got. So to me, it's like, I think Riddle is one of those guys where he's going to have, like, you're going to see his passion come out. Maybe on Friday Night SmackDown or Monday Night Raw.
We have to figure it out by this Friday on SmackDown, which is tomorrow as a recording. SmackDown tomorrow night. I mean, I imagine they're going to announce whatever match Usos, if they are involved in Hell in a Cell. They're not going to announce it next Friday, 2 days before.
Riddle could do it. Like, he could say, I'm gonna go one. I'll go 2-on-1 in a handicap match, and I'm going to dedicate it to Randy. He'll do something like that. That could be something Riddle could do. I mean, Monday Night Raw could also be the stepping stone for it as well.
Yeah, because they're on both shows now, and
the brand splits pretty much. It's not really a thing anymore because you're seeing a
lot of
talent.
crossover.
Yeah, so I think
there still is the brand in the sense outside the championships, but I think you're not seeing Becky on SmackDown.
Yeah,
stuff like
but
that.
I'll be honest with you, I do think it's starting to dissolve. I really do. I think you're starting to see it a little bit. I think they're doing it in a nonchalant way where more and more you're going to see more and more.
It is really weird how they're doing the crossover a lot during dark matches on the television shows. I think that's one of the weirdest spots right there, that they're doing the crossovers there. Meaning, like, I went to SmackDown and saw Bobby Lashley a week earlier. I heard that Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins had a dark match on SmackDown. I went to a Raw in which had a dark match featuring Sheamus and Ridge Holland, who are SmackDown guys. So it's weird that they're doing because there's enough people on those shows. Like, when I went to SmackDown, there was enough SmackDown guys. Like, Gunther wasn't on my show at all. He wasn't on that SmackDown in Wilkes-Barre at all. So I'd figure, like, okay, he'll be in the dark match. Or that Raw we went to where it was AJ Styles and Edge and Damian Priest who weren't featured live on that Raw. They would be in the dark match. So, but they're bringing in New Day and Ridge Holland to be in a dark match for that Monday Night Raw when there was enough Raw talent that we hadn't even seen that night.
Yeah, it was
like, you don't need to bring in
odd.
extras.
Yeah, it was odd.
So it's odd that they're doing that. They're bringing in like Bobby Lashley for a SmackDown dark match when it's like there was like 5 or 6 SmackDown guys I didn't get a chance to see tonight. But, they got to be bringing in more people because there's obviously 2 people that have been missing MIA in action. And they made the announcement this past Friday night that they indeed have been stripped of the belts, suspended indefinitely, and there'll be a tournament to decide the new Women's Tag Team Championships. And I just want to say this, and I put this out on Twitter myself, and this is an opinion. The more this is a shoot, the more it seems like a work. The more they talk about how this is real, the more it seems fake.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I from different sources that are out there, the sources that, I trust, they're saying that AEW and Sasha Banks, that could be business.
They're just talking so many, like even the WWE Twitter account or WWE on Fox or one of their official Twitter accounts actually had where they do let's say before WrestleMania, they put a thing that's like just a bunch of what's your favorite WrestleMania main event? Who's your favorite Royal Rumble winner? Something like that. They put notable or what's your favorite or something, but it highlighted famous and infamous WWE walkouts of the past. Like, they were, like, making light of it. Like, what was your favorite WWE walkout? With Sasha Banks and Naomi having just walked out of WWE, it's time to take a retrospect into walkouts in WWE history. What's your favorite? And most of them were kayfabe walkouts. You know what I mean? Because there hasn't been a lot of, they walkouts. They weren't referencing like Ultimate Warrior. I don't think they were. They referenced Stone Cold. I guess. See the poll, but other than that, they were mostly kayfabe. It wasn't like a poll. It was just like a retrospect talking about. But like the fact that they're like talking about it in such a low light.
You think this is completely a work?
I don't think it's completely a work, but I feel like WWE is not shying away from any of this at all.
And here's the thing: why? And the more you say that too, the more it makes me think. Why would you shine the spotlight on them if they might be out the door soon?
Yeah.
WWE usually what happens is if they're kicking your ass to the curb, they're not gonna put you over at all.
And Michael Cole made that announcement on SmackDown last week. It not just made the announcement, but they made sure to upload that announcement to YouTube, so it wasn't just like a quick thing. For example, this is 100% honestly what I believe is the truth. Obviously, YouTube did not exist in 1999, but we can always Monday morning quarterback it. And I would say that if Over the Edge happened exactly the way that it happened in 1999 and YouTube existed, that Jim Ross would have made the announcement about Owen Hart's death. But I promise you that announcement segment of the pay-per-view would not have then been uploaded to YouTube to be rewatched. If you watch Peacock or WWE Network, most of that stuff, and I think even the announcement about Owen Hart's death have been removed. So I understand Michael Cole, if this is real, maybe really making that announcement. But to actually like post it on Twitter, post it on YouTube to like be, did you miss SmackDown? Well, we're making sure that you see that announcement.
Yeah, I mean,
and not just say it quickly and get it out of the way.
When you say it like that, it kind of feels more like a work. Because why shine a spotlight? Really, that's the thing. WWE's not. They don't do that. They don't shine a spotlight if you already got one foot out the door. Because why would you give them any more notoriety as they go to the competitor? That makes no sense. So the more you say it like that, if you had to ask me, what I think happens, you'll see him back at some point. That's my thought.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't know for sure if this is 100% a work, but I will say that maybe it was a shoot that they're like, you know what? People love going back to the Attitude Era, and in WWE and wrestling in general, people love that realism. They like when the line is blurred. So maybe somebody in writing, maybe Nick Khan's of the world said, you know what? Hey, this kind of really did happen, but we're not going to fire these guys. But maybe we can use it to our advantage. Similar to the Stone Cold situation when he walked out, they used it to their advantage to change the character around and, add that sense of realism. I guess going back to when, the Usos had the DWI problems, those really happened, but they're like, hey, you know what? Let's make light of it on TV to really help out this storyline with New Day and Usos. So maybe they realize, you know what? Sasha Banks and Naomi are right. This tag team division isn't getting much light on it. They were mad. They left. We wish they didn't leave. But hey, when they come back, this tag team division is going to be hotter than ever. I mean, the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, that was apparently not a work, but WWE definitely used it to their advantage.
Well, 100%.
They obviously, but part of the thing that made it a work was the fact that he wasn't really released after Money in the Bank. He didn't really take the championship and leave the company, and they had to get him to come back. I mean, he was under contract. The pipe bomb promo itself was a shoot, and the fact that his contract was running up was a shoot. But then what they did with it, obviously, after that was all a work. So, maybe WWE is just getting ahead of this and saying, let's bring them back as heels. Let's bring them back at heels and let's use this. And that'd be smart on their part.
Since they're going to have this women's tag team tournament, are we going to see Toxic Attraction getting the call up?
And there's been I've seen a few jokes here about, the women's tag team tournament potential. What kind of tournament they really have? Somebody put jokes as like the bracket would just be pretty much the championship round. I mean, because the tag team division is pretty light. I've heard a lot of people say that this should be an opportunity for them to get rid of the women's tag team belts. I've never been a fan of the women's tag team belts, at least in their creation sense, just because I thought we already had 2 championship belts individual, and the women's division isn't just so big. I mean, the men's division in historically is huge. It's so big. I mean, you think about like the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Yeah, they let in 64 teams, but there's 400 teams.
I'll be honest with you, and I think they got to keep the titles. I don't care about There's not
I think that they will, but
I get that. But here's the thing: that's WWE's fault for not developing talent like a Liv Morgan, for example, which I think they're finally doing. And Rhea Ripley as well. That's the issue. It's more about developing the talent, whether it's on the main roster or it's on NXT. That's on WWE. There's enough women there. If you can just cultivate
so?
them, yes, I do. If you combine it with you bring up an NXT tag team or two in the mix, why the hell not? And then if it is like a toxic attraction, why not? At this point, maybe that's their chance to get called up. I'm just saying that I think you can't have two women's tag team. You couldn't. There's no way you could do a Raw women's and a SmackDown women's. I think the men's, that's the same thing. It should only be one tag team title bout across whether it's the men's division or the women's division. Having more than that is a little redundant for me, a little over the top. So if you just you keep the SmackDown or you keep the women's tag team championship going, that's fine, because it's just WWE's. They just got to tweak it. There's enough women there that you can make into stars.
So this Sunday night from the T-Mobile Arena, the biggest gate in AEW history.
Pretty good, right?
Double or nothing. A pretty big card. I'd hope that these matches are a little bit shorter than the ones we saw at Revolution, because Revolution, I think, had like 8 matches, and the card went about 4 hours, because each match, like we mentioned, got about 30 minutes. Yeah. Right now, as of now, they have 10 matches on the main card, and if they give them time, well,
that's 5 hours.
It could be 5-6 hours. Yeah, I mean, WrestleMania's a lot of times had about 10 matches on their main cards that went very, very long, and that's the thing, too. A lot of those matches didn't even go that long. Like the WrestleMania in New York City, for example, I think it was like a 13-match card, but only 1 or 2 matches went 20 minutes. So
it's a good card, too. It's a very good card.
Yeah, it's a good card. I mean, the pre-show's got Hook and Danhausen versus Tony Nese.
Minus that match. I could care less about that.
Yeah. I mean, Hook and Danhausen, though. I mean,
I have zero interest in Danhausen. I think that whole gimmick is annoying. That's just stupid.
You think so?
I don't like it. You know what? It's not my cup of tea. Just wrestling is it's like going to Baskin Robbins and picking your ice cream. He's just not the flavor of ice cream I like. I just think it's annoying. I just think it sucks.
What about Hook, though?
I like Hook.
I mean, Hook has been...
Hook.
So, I guess, you know what I mean? Like,
that kid's going to be a star.
This is one of those AEW dilemmas, obviously. This is a pre-show match. Danhausen and Hook are two of the hottest guys in AEW when it comes to probably selling T-shirts, when it comes to intrigue, and they're on the pre-show. And, again, that's part of the AEW issue. My friend sent me something this week, said, last week Johnny was elite, and this week Johnny is dark. In the sense of Johnny Nitro, John Morrison. He makes his big debut, and then he's on dark as soon as possible.
That's the thing with AEW. That's the issue. You're getting a little too bloated.
I think CM Punk has been on dark, which is John Moxley's been on dark. Those kind of people, it's you shouldn't be on dark.
No,
ever. Cody Rhodes has been in 0 WWE main event matches. Main event being this show that nobody watches, that they tape before Raw, that you didn't even know still exists. I think it airs on Saturday morning.
No, he is on television.
Yeah. And when he's on television, they make a big point out of it. I mean, yeah, he's in house shows and dark matches and stuff like that. But he's not just wrestling silly matches against Sin Cara on Velocity, or anything like that. No.
I mean, to be honest with you, the match that should be on the pre-show is Cargill and Anna Jay. That I would flip that. That's just me.
And I'm not saying this tag team match is a lot of intrigue. It's just the names that are in the tag team match. You know what I mean? They seem special attraction-y.
I like Tony Nese, man. I've always been a fan of Tony Nese, even in his WWE days. That guy's got some talent. So to me, that Tony Nese and Hook, I would just watch those two wrestle. I don't need Danhausen or that smart Sterling guy. I don't need that guy.
So Jade Cargill against Anna Jay for the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill, the Goldberg of the women's division.
And that's the thing. That's why I put it in the pre-show for me, because it's so predictable that she's going to win. Anna Jay is not winning this match. Do
you see Jade Cargill just winning up until she finally gets to be going for the main women's championship?
Yeah.
It'll be champion versus champion kind of match.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what'll happen is she'll eventually she's going to take over the main title, the main women's title. And then what'll happen is, maybe what'll happen is she'll hold both the belts. Maybe. I'm not saying that's happening, but I think eventually her first loss will be as the AEW Women's World Champion.
Malachi Black, Buddy Murphy, and Brody King is part of House of Black. Malachi Black, he's been somebody who's, I don't want to say he's been underutilized, or Buddy Murphy, but, again, you just got so many people. When he first made his debut, you thought he was going to be right in the world title picture.
Yeah, but this is okay, though.
He's in the mid-card against Death Triangle in a six-man tag.
Hey, again, true. Not everybody can be the main event. I mean, hey, mid-card, you can make a lot of money.
I guess we always just think about the fact, I always use the FTR example about how FTR left the WWE mid-card to go to the AEW mid-card.
Yeah, but they have more creative freedom, though. They're more themselves than they ever were in WWE. That's the difference. I think the match is going to be good. I always enjoy watching Penta and Ray Fenix. I think he's awesome. I think that Death Triangle is pretty good. Buddy Matthews, that's going to be fun. I'm still learning about Brody King. I don't know a lot about him. I know you know him better than I do, but from what I've seen, he looks like a pretty good guy.
What about Pac? I mean, what is the future? I mean, 'cause there's been so many. I remember, like, I thought Pac was going to be world champion in like WWE at one point.
And that's the thing. I'm not as high on Pac as a lot of people. I've always thought he was a decent mid-card guy. I never saw the superstar.
I mean, I felt like he really elevated like the cruiserweight division back in the day.
And well, there you go. He elevated the cruiserweight division.
But I felt like, I mean, he was like worthy of like, if you like staying around for a 205 Live taping. I felt like him, and like there was like those guys, and this is why 205 Live doesn't exist, because they had like these big names kind of like main eventing that. You had like Enzo, you had Pac,
Yep.
You had, I don't want to say TJP, but kind of TJP.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think who else. It's not exactly Cedric Alexander, but there's like another. It might have been Pac who I'm thinking of, but like those guys were kind of like if 205 made 205 Live feel like not a third brand, but kind of like legitimate. Like after SmackDown went off the air, you wanted to stick around because you felt that those were like worthy guys to watch. You weren't just watching.
I never got
nobody's.
that. I never got that vibe from Pac. I don't know. He's not like his style to me. It's not my favorite cup or my favorite scoop of ice cream, so to speak.
So the night before WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, Florida, in Lakeland, Florida, at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor, the Hardy Boys were the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. They lost their belts in a ladder match to the Young Bucks and then went on to debut or return to WWE the very next night at WrestleMania 33. The Hardys and the Young Bucks rematch at Double or Nothing. I'm not going to say this is their first rematch. Wrestling is they're all over the world. They've probably wrestled since then. But if they haven't, this would be interesting either way.
First time in
interesting
AEW.
match. Yeah, first time in AEW. The Hardys and the Young Bucks, I think this is a big tag team match.
Yeah, I'm looking
Name-wise,
forward to
I mean, who knows what they'll perform. But, I mean, I feel like if the Young Bucks ever came to WWE and the Hardys made their return, I mean, this would be like a WrestleMania. Match.
Here's the thing, and this is gonna. You know what? I know I'm probably gonna get some interesting comments. I'm not a huge Bucks fan. I'm just not. They're a solid tag team, but like to put them on the level of the greatest tag teams of all time to me is that's a little too rich for me. I think they're solid. I think they're very good. I don't think they're elite as they like to call themselves. I'll say this, and Matt and Jeff, they cut a promo this week. I agree with them. The Hardys, the track record speaks for themselves. The Hardys will go down as a better tag team than Young Bucks.
The Jericho Appreciation Society, Jericho and his whole group with Jake Hager, who has been there since, it's crazy again. That's another guy who's been in AEW since the beginning. And again,
yeah, but
would have thought a little more of him, I guess.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And plus, you're seeing Menard and Parker finally, the formerly known as what was their name in WWE? They were like, I know they were going by 2.0 in the Indies and AEW, but they were a tag team. Oh, there we go. Oh, now they're 2.0 now 3.0. Now, as you see, Everrise, that's who it was. Thank you. There we go. But I like seeing them with Jericho. I think that's really good. I think Jericho is the kind of guy that can get them over the edge a little bit because I thought Menard and Parker are missing something. I felt like their in-ring work was pretty solid. I just think they're missing that charismatic factor, and rubbing elbows with Chris Jericho is never a bad thing. So as much as maybe a lot of people don't really care for JS, I think it's good for the careers of especially Menard and Parker.
Are you going to rub elbows with Chris Jericho when he comes to town on October the 2nd here in Syracuse? Fozzy is playing. And if you're not familiar with Syracuse at all, the Lost Horizon is that's where you start. That is like the lowest of the low clubs that we have.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Back that up a little bit. You still get some pretty damn good bands, even though
I feel Fozzy's big. It's what they could play 300 people in that place if that place is jammed.
I will say this. I'll just say this. Back in the day, and they were out. They already had a record out, and they were still they had some hits already out. Like a Five Finger Death Punch performed there like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but 10 years ago.
But they were still pretty big at that point.
I'm just saying, a sellout is 300 people, and I think Fozzie's bigger than that.
Are you going?
I mean, I might. I mean, again, you can't get any closer.
When is that,
it's one
October?
Of those, October the 2nd, Fozzie. They're on a tour this upcoming fall. I made sure to check, and there are no Wednesday dates on that tour.
Well, of course.
But Chris Jericho and Fozzie will be in Syracuse.
Now that you mention that, it's in October. That might be on the list.
So this is an Anarchy in the Arena match. I guess that's the modern day equivalent of like a stadium stampede. Obviously, they don't want to pre-tape a match or do anything that they don't need a crowd for. They have a crowd, so they want to actually be able to use them a little bit, so they don't need to do a completely pre-taped match like they had during the COVID years. But should be interesting. I will say one thing, and we've talked about this before, the Blackpool Combat Club with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. I wish they were staying to themselves a little bit more. They're teaming up in this like 8-man tag with Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. Again, I like them as a tag team by themselves. You know, like in WWE, if we had Judgment Day and a 6-man tag or an 8-man tag with Judgment Day with Finn Balor or Judgment Day, no, be your own thing. Fight your own battles. Yeah. I think Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley being their own tag team, maybe being in the Hardys versus Young Bucks tag, like a 6-man or a 6-way or 3-way tag, 6 men. But staying as a tag team, not teaming up with other people and joining alliances. It just makes it seem like you don't stand alone as strong.
I agree with
in
it,
a tag team.
But I'm okay with this match. I think the match will be fun.
MJF and Wardlow, I think this is one of your main events. It's not the main event, but it is one of the biggest, one of the bigger draw matches. If Wardlow wins, he will be granted his release from his contract with MJF, and if MJF wins, Wardlow will be permanently banned from signing with AEW.
It's going to be tipped. Hey, Wardlow's winning.
Yeah, I mean, it'll
be a good match. There's no way in hell they're going to let Wardlow walk. Like, the stipulation.
I've heard some things earlier. What do you think about Goldberg coming to AEW as a Wardlow manager?
I have zero interest in that.
Yeah, I have zero interest in that too, but I just thought I'd bring it up. Ruby Soho and Chris Santlander.
No. Chris Statlander.
Statlander. Yeah, I said that wrong, and I knew I was going to say it wrong when I looked at it.
You said it like 3 times wrong.
Yeah. They're still yet to decide between Ruby Soho and Chris who is going to fight Britt Baker.
It doesn't matter.
Because Britt Baker's going to win this Women's Owen Hart Tournament Cup final, which is happening at Double or Nothing. We already know the Men's Owen Hart Tournament Cup final, which will be Samoa Joe and Adam Cole. That should be a good match right there. That could headline an NXT TakeOver.
And I'm going to go with Adam Cole, baby. He's going to win that.
All right. Samoa Joe still the Ring of Honor World Champion.
I don't care. Adam Cole's winning this match. Adam. Obviously, AEW's pushing the hell out of Adam Cole. He's been in some really good storylines.
Right. I gotta double check that he's currently the Ring of Honor World Champion.
I trust you.
I believe he is. He is currently.
He is the current.
He is the current world champion, world television champion. Okay.
He's still. Hey, I trust you on that. If you're saying it, I trust you.
Well, this is a talk for another day. What we talked about Ring of Honor and AEW kind of keeping themselves separate here. And it kind of makes me, this past weekend in Buffalo, I saw Jay Lethal wrestle. And you kind of
was Ric Flair wrestling?
He was not there.
No, just
but Jay Lethal was there. He fought Trey Miguel, who will be in Las Vegas fighting in a match in a different promotion over the weekend in Las Vegas as a piggyback event. He's been an X Division champion in Impact before, so it was a pretty big time match between these two people who are well established, and it made me just think like, hey, yeah, he's quote unquote in AEW. We haven't really seen him too much in AEW kind of thing.
It's weird.
Moving on, the Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Christian Cage versus Team Taz, as well as the tag team of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland's been getting some wins lately.
Yeah,
this is an AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Again, this would be something I'd like to see the Blackpool Combat Club in, but
yeah, I agree.
It is what it is, and I see Keith Lee and Swerve leaving with the tag team belts.
I disagree. I see Team Taz. I think I mean Powerhouse is good. Ricky Starks to me he's a superstar. That guy has that it factor for me. Ricky Starks is I know there's always these pillars, the whole MJF thing. Ricky Starks, and I'm just going to put it out there in the next few years, that guy is going to be one of the pillars in AEW. And if AEW is dumb enough to let him walk, WWE will scoop him up really fast.
Thunder Rosa against Serena Deeb. For those of you who remember way back in the day, Serena Deeb was part of the Straight Edge Society.
I remember that.
She has moved on.
She moved on from shaving her head.
She got a little bit better. She's facing Thunder Rosa, but I feel like with how AEW has done the women's division so far, where people have had very long reigns, Thunder Rosa I think is in the beginning of what will be a decent reign, or at least not be ending at this pay-per-view.
This could be arguably one of the best matches of the night. So I'll just say that. I'm with you. I think Rosa wins.
And then the main event, CM Punk. Almost about 10 months since he made his big debut, his return to pro wrestling. It's been 10 months. Finally, he's in a main event match. Now, and obviously, he's been on Dynamite main events or whatever, but he's
finally
going for the championship.
I don't want it on CM Punk
Against Hangman Adam Page.
I think it would be stupid to put it on CM Punk. I'm just saying. I mean, AEW might as well do it because they did it with Chris Jericho in the beginning. But to me, why take the title off Hangman this quick?
If there's anybody who would be okay with losing, it'd be CM Punk. He's somebody obviously who's talked about.
Yeah,
that stuff doesn't matter that much.
Yeah,
to him
he doesn't
and
care.
Yada, yada.
I just hope Tony Khan doesn't say, "Hey, I want to put the title on CM Punk." I just think it's a bad idea. I think CM Punk, at this stage in his career, he doesn't need the title. He can just wrestle different guys and put those guys over. So for me, Hangman Page would be the right choice.
So that's our Double or Nothing preview. Next week, we'll give you our Hell in a Cell preview, as that'll be next weekend from Chicago, Illinois. The Double or Nothing this weekend. The Usos are now the Unified Tag Team Champions. We'll see what happens there. We'll see any further developments in the WWE Women's Tag Team world. And anything else that happens in the world of WWE, AEW, and elsewhere between now and next week. For Brandon, I'm Jared here in the States. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and we will talk to you next week.